Hey, this is Anthony Cesari with SuccessForYourSongs.com, and in this video, I'm going to look at how the Killers specifically don't rhyme and how that's effective. It's not just an approach that's just they didn't feel like rhyming, so they didn't. It was actually a strategic songwriting move. So we'll look at that so you can see how to use that in your own writing as well. Okay, so when you think of rhyme as a tool in your song as opposed to just something that you're supposed to do, it can present some really interesting opportunities for your music. And one of the ways to use rhyme as a strategy in your songs is not to play into an expectation that you've previously established. So for example, let's say you're using an A-B rhyme scheme in your song. So that's where the first and third lines rhyme, and then the second and fourth lines rhyme. So I have an example of that on the screen here. So these different letters just signify the words that rhyme, but ultimately the rhymes happen on every other line. So we have now, may, allow, day, token, not, spoken, spot. So you can see how these would fit into the ends of lines and just totally fit an expectation for rhyming by rhyming on every other line in the first four lines and then different rhymes on the second four lines. So this is a super common rhyme scheme. And in a rhyme scheme like this, once you hear that A, B, and then the A rhyme again, then you really expect to hear that B happen a second time. It sets up that expectation for it. Same thing in the next four lines with the D. So once you hear token, not, spoken, that fourth line, you're expecting to hear something that rhymes with not. So a lot of times as a songwriter, you just do this without thinking about it. You give into the expectation. And a lot of times it's appropriate for plenty of different songs. But doing that, being that blatantly obvious about the exact word or the exact rhyme that's coming next, and then delivering on that rhyme, that's kind of one end of the spectrum. The opposite end of the spectrum acknowledges that expectation and then deliberately doesn't deliver it. So an example of this I really like happens in the song Mr. Brightside by the Killers. Before we move on, I just want to mention that we have a couple of free songwriting cheat sheets for you that can download in the upper right hand side of the screen. You can just tap that little eye and grab those. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel to stay updated on our latest songwriting videos, we've got a subscribe button on the lower right hand side of the video. You can do that there. So this song has an A-B rhyme scheme with an obvious word that we expect to hear at the end of the rhyme scheme. And actually in this song, the first and third lines that they have here don't rhyme. They have a sleep and smoke as the lines that are ending those two lines. I'm calling them A rhymes, but it's really not a rhyme, but that really doesn't affect the example because they do rhyme the first and third in the next four set of lines. And also when you don't rhyme the first and third lines, it basically acts the same as an A-B. But just for notation purposes, let's just pretend for the first four lines of this one. It just makes it a little bit neater what I'm trying to show here. I'm just denoting those non-rhymes with an A. This way we keep it consistent with that previous example that I showed you, so it makes sense that way. So anyway, we have the lines, now I'm falling asleep and she's calling a cab while he's having a smoke and she's taking a drag. So we have that rhyme, cab and drag. It's not a perfect rhyme, but the vowel sounds match. So it's enough to make that connection. And not only does it make that connection, but it also establishes that sense of flow that we're going to have rhymes on the second and the fourth lines. So then we get the next four lines. Now they're going to bed and my stomach is sick and it's all in my head, but she's touching his chest. So this is where the non-rhyme happens. So I think it's obvious what you were expecting to hear there because you were expecting that rhyme on that line that rhymes with sick, but starts with D. So it was super obvious that that word was coming since that rhyme scheme had been established, that second and fourth line rhyme scheme. So once we got to sick, we knew something that rhymes with sick was going to come at the end of line 4, but then it didn't. Instead we got, but she's touching his chest. So this is a really cool surprise when you first hear it. Now a lot of times when you have a rhyme scheme that's so neat and organized, something that's, A-B, and then C-D, it plays into a more happy feel or a complete sort of feeling because that rhyme is completing itself. So by not rhyming on this last line, the narrator is sort of like admitting to some chaos that's going on. And obviously that's what he's feeling just by reading through these words. So we're feeling that along with him by not getting this rhyme delivered to us. We're getting a bit of a chaotic, unexpected feel here, which ties into what these lyrics are talking about. Now, there's even more here actually going on than I let on. So that line, but she's touching his chest, not only does that not act as the fourth line here, but instead it sort of pivots as the first line of the next section. So this is kind of really how the song reads when we're listening to it. So you get this 4-line section, now I'm falling asleep, and she's calling a cab while he's having a smoke, and she's taking a drag. Then the next 3 lines, now they're going to bed, and my stomach is sick, and it's all in my head. And then another 3 lines, but she's touching his chest now, he takes off her dress now, let me go. So first the word chest refused to rhyme with the word sick, which was unexpected. And then the line, but she's touching his chest now, was lengthened by adding this now at the end of it. So those moves placed that line as the first line in the next 3-line section. So this move also makes sense here by creating this 2 3-line sections, because again, these lyrics are kind of a downer. They're talking about this girl being with another guy, so it's this unfulfilling feeling for him. So it makes sense that we hear 2 3-line sections instead of 1 4-line section, because that 4-line section, again, like the rhyme, was expected. So this makes this whole section of this song just feel more unbalanced than it would have if it were just 2 4-line sections. So 2 4-line sections with that all button up with a perfect rhyme at the very end of it just would have been too perfect for what this song is aiming at lyrically. So by refusing to rhyme on that 4th line, and then that 4th line becoming the first line of a next section, makes the whole thing feel much more unbalanced and chaotic. And the reason for this, as far as the lines go, is typically an even number of lines feels balanced, and an odd number of lines doesn't. So in this kind of downer of a song, it makes sense that we get 2 sections with an odd number of lines as opposed to 1 section with an even number of lines. And then again, that combined with the word chest not rhyming where we expected it to contributes to this total unbalanced feeling of this part of the song. So this is a great example of prosody, since this concept goes hand in hand with what the lyrics are talking about, which is feeling unbalanced. So since you may want to use an approach like this in one of your songs, I'll show you how I did it in one of mine, or something similar, to give you an added example here. So I have a song called Love Is Up in the Air, and if you'd like to listen to it in its entirety, there's a link for it right on this video, and also a link for it below the video as well. The overall concept here is basically, we're mashing 2 cliches together. Love is in the air, and then up in the air. So taking love and mashing it together with uncertainty and saying that, it's unclear whether this love is going to happen or not. So in this case, I'm rhyming on every line in the chorus. So love is up in the air, like a distress flare. Love is up in the air. How did it get there? So I've got that rhyme happening all 4 times, and then that gets repeated. In the final chorus, this gets repeated twice. The other parts of the song, you only hear it once. But anyway, so at this last part of the song, so now we have a strong expectation to be rhyming on every single line, especially since it's the same exact section from before. So we're expecting to hear air, flare, and then air again, but then I'm rhyming on the word land, or I should say I'm not rhyming. So that A in land is different than the A in air, the way I'm singing it, and I'll play it for you in a sec so you can hear what that sounds like. But also our consonant sounds at the end are also different. So it just sounds different enough that it's almost like it wants it to be a rhyme, but it's just not working, which ties into the idea that happens on this last lyric, where will it land, because it's presenting this idea of uncertainty. So when I have a rhyme that isn't clear, that goes hand in hand with the lyric there. So take a listen to what that sounds like. And just pay attention to how the expectation of the rhyme is being set up throughout this double chorus, and how you're expecting to hear that again on the very last line.
Love is up in the air, like a distress flare. Love is up in the air. How did it get there? Love is up in the air, like a distress flare. Love is up in the air. it land?
So you can hear how that last word just feels different. It feels a bit more uncertain than the rest of the lines because they were clearly established beforehand. So that rhyme changing there just sets us off a little bit. And also in the same way the Killers made some different moves with their actual numbers of lines and the line lengths, I tried to do a similar thing like that here. So you notice when that line happens the first time, how did it get there? It was 5 syllables. And then on the last time, where will it land? This one where we're supposed to be creating more uncertainty, that one's only 4 syllables. So this line got shortened, and actually the chord progression did that as well. So this is the chord progression here. This was the normal chord progression right here. But then on that very last line, it doesn't end on that E flat minor because that's the root chord of the song. And to play into the uncertainty, finishing on the root chord would have just been too stable for a line like that. So when this line, When Will It Land, got shortened, it ended on the A flat minor. So it didn't resolve back to the root. So that also, along with the rhyme, contributed to the idea of the uncertainty in that line. So just listen again to the last couple lines and taking note that another thing that contributed here was that that root chord not being played at the end there, and that line, the last line, being shortened.
Love is up in the air, like a distress flare. Love is up in the air, where will it land?
So rhyme can be a great way to break expectations in your song, and when you start to tie it into other moves in your songwriting as well, you can make it even stronger. So I hope that helps you figure out how you can use an approach like this in your own songs to tie your music and your rhymes into what your song is about. So I hope you found that information useful. If you'd like a lot more ways to improve your songwriting, I've got a couple of free cheat sheets for you that you can download by tapping on the screen here. Also, if you have not yet subscribed to this YouTube channel to stay updated on our latest songwriting videos, you can tap our logo on the screen for that. And there's also a link on this screen where you can hear the song that I played for you in this video and the song that you're hearing right now. So thank you for checking this one out. I'll talk to you in the next one.